Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, Fight Family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Munoz.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I am Alexei Olynyk. And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi, everybody from American Top Teams.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. It's fight day. Fights start in a few hours, so we're going to walk through the card. We're going to talk about who we think wins, how we think it goes. We're going to talk about our bets. We're going to talk about all the things, and I wasn't supposed to be here today. This is supposed to be Jacob, but Jacob doesn't have any power, so here I am, stepping up, telling my family who's visiting from out of town to kick rocks while I do this. So let's walk through the whole thing. If you want $50 free dollars, 50 free dollars, free money, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners, make a deposit, let me know after you do, and we send you $50. Straight up, $50. We send you $50. Just go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of the 5 betting partners. I do 90% of my betting with BetOnline and BetUS. They both have pros and cons. BetOnline they have the best prop bets, and BetUS has sort of the most flexibility. You can parlay anything together. So let's jump right in. And this stream is brought to you by EarnU. EarnU is the world's first sports and esports prediction game, allowing you to earn crypto risk-free. Check them out now at earnu.io. And if you want to get a better idea of what it is and how it works, we posted a video every single week. We did one a few days ago, walking through my favorite EarnU bets. And ODDSJAM, ODDSJAM.com has the fastest real-time data to spot discrepancies between different sports books, and it helps users place risk-free bets. Check them out now at ODDSJAM.com. Essentially what ODDSJAM does is it has data feeds into all of your favorite sports books. It's constantly pulling back their odds, their live odds. Not live like during a fight, although that'll happen too, but live meaning throughout the day as money comes in, odds change. They're pulling that in, the odds are changing. And what it does, it allows you to spot, maybe there's a book that's sleeping, right? Someone's a minus 300 favorite now, and the other book still has them as a minus 150. They just didn't catch up yet because they don't care about MMA. They care about basketball, something like that. ODDSJAM lays that all out for you, has it right there, one click, bang, you're in the mix, placing the right bet. So let's catch up on some chat, and we're going to walk through these fights. I will be here for exactly 1 hour. I am out of here at 3 p.m. Central Time. So let's catch up with some chat. We'll break down these fights. We'll do them quickly. And let's see what happens. And Angelo did say, yes, the stream will go on. You have no idea how annoyed I am right now. And I'm not annoyed at Jacob. It's not he doesn't have power. It's not his fault. But Jesus, did this throw my day for a freaking loop. All right. Let's catch up. Let me just walk through. So the full card parlay. Let's touch on that very quickly. So what we're doing right now is if you're a member of this channel, we do the full card parlay. And if the parlay hits, all of the money gets split up with members. The problem is I'm going to have to change that because the problem with that is YouTube needs the perks of membership to be within YouTube, meaning you can't say, oh, if you become a member, you now have access to something that's not on YouTube, right? It needs to be things like, oh, you're a member, you have a crown now. You're a member, you get extra videos, things like that. So we're figuring it out. We're going to make some adjustments with membership. Have the web guy looking to figure out, can we just do it through our website directly? So this will all work exactly the same way. It just won't be through YouTube. So we're still working on that, but we still have a full card parlay. Let me walk through who the full card parlay is. If this one hits, it will go to the members of the channel, but nobody knew. First of all, everybody knew become a member, but don't count on this, right? Become a member because you want to support us, not for this, because we're going to have to make some adjustments here. But the full card parlay, $10 pays out $1,590. And we have Volkanovski, Petr Yan, Chimaev, Tisha Torres, Ian Gary, Mickey Gall, Julio Arce, Mark Madsen, Kay Hansen, Anthony Hernandez, and Jared VanDeraa. That is who you all voted on, and that was on our website, wewantpicks.com/vote. Every week we put up a poll. You guys voted on that, and that's how we built the parlay. So we'll figure out the parlay going forward. It is set for today already. Obviously, if you want to become a member, but don't do it just for the full card parlay because that's getting figured out. Let's talk about these fights. So we've got Julio Arce taking on Daniel Santos opening up the card. And listen, coming into this, well, I guess I'll do the breakdown very quickly. We've only got about an hour. But Julio Arce, he's a striker. He's got good volume. He's got pretty good defense. And he's able to come forward while still defending shots and throwing big punches that way. He does have a little bit of wrestling when he needs it. Daniel Santos, it's his UFC debut. He's a shoot-a-box fighter. So he's just an old school, all violence kind of guy. He comes forward nice and tight and then just blasts away. I originally picked Julio Arce because the issue with Daniel Santos, even though he's dangerous on his feet, the issue with Daniel Santos is he's an old school guy. So if he gets taken down, he'll just play guard and he'll do that. And listen, it's 2022. People are not getting submitted from triangle chokes off their back anymore, right? The only time that stuff ever happens is if it's in a scramble. Nobody's on their back holding positions and, so that old school logic and that old school mentality for jiu-jitsu, I thought that was going to lose Daniel Santos this fight. I'm switching. Daniel Santos is my pick now because Julio Arce looked terrible on the scales. I was already like, it was this close of a pick. But Julio Arce looked terrible on the scales. He did not look good. So Daniel Santos is the pick. Let me know what you guys think and what you've got going on. And yes, Chester, he looked miserably awful. And Daniel Santos is good. He's very good. Let's see. Yeah, we'll get to Madsen in a minute. A lot of people have gone back and forth, including myself. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Get to some more interesting fights. Wiley Cat by KO is plus 500. So that's Daniel Santos to win by knockouts plus 500. That's incredible. That's an incredible line. That's worth a couple bucks for sure. Because Julio Arce's chin, didn't always hold up in the past. And I picked him. I originally picked Julio Arce because I said he can work in some takedowns and he'll steal some minutes. The way he looked, missing by a half a pound. I've managed fighters for a very long time. Any fighter that missed by a half a pound was about to die. You missed by 3 pounds, you just didn't want to cut anymore. You missed by a half a pound, there's nothing left to cut. Nothing. So we'll see. Not a great look for Julio Arce. Actually, let me check. The one bet I said I was going to place and I didn't was Daniel Santos wins inside the distance, decision, no action. So let me take a look at that because I might grab that right now if the odds are decent. Come on. Where are you? Here we go. Daniel Santos wins inside the distance, decision, no action, plus 135. You guys are watching me do this? Well, I'm not sharing my screen because you people don't need to know how much money I have or don't have in my Bet Online account. So let's go ahead. Throw a full unit on that. Okay. And that is locked in. So I just bet Daniel Santos wins inside the distance, decision, no action. What that means is if Daniel Santos knocks out Julio Arce, I get paid at plus 135. If Daniel Santos submits him, I get paid at plus 135. If Daniel Santos gets taken down and elbowed in the mouth for 15 minutes, well, it doesn't matter to me. I get a refund. You're only going to get that at Bet Online. Bet Online is the only book that offers that prop. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Jump into any one of those links, make a deposit with any one of those books, and I send you $50, $50 as a thank you. Let's see. Let's move on. We have Pajeda Rodriguez. This is another weight misser. So we got Pajeda Rodriguez taking on Kay Hansen. Kay Hansen missed by 2.5 pounds. She did look good on the scale. She looked like she could have continued to cut weight, but chose not to. But she, either way, she still missed the weight. Pajeda Rodriguez, she's a nasty striker. She's got real finishing power. She just sort of comes forward and just absolutely lets her hands fly. I've said this for a while now. It's like a controlled brawl where she's throwing wild, but she knows what she's throwing and where she's throwing it. But it is wild, and it is absolutely with intent. She's got pretty good takedown defense, and what I love about her takedown defense is she's not going to play games with pitter-patter strikes. She will throw her hips in, grind you to your back, and just make you pay for even attempting to shoot a takedown. And she's going to need that because Kay Hansen is a grappler. Kay Hansen comes in, she bobs and weaves, she throws big, heavy punches. Oh, look whose power magically came back on. What a fucking joke, man. Fucking absolute muppet. Yeah, you will come on. Fucking dork. And then I can go spend time with my family as planned. Anyway, Kay Hansen bobs and weaves her way in. Then she drops to the hips, picks up clean, runs a double, drags you to the ground, and works from there. I am on the Pereira Rodriguez side. I think Pereira Rodriguez wins this fight. But Kay Hansen is very, very good. I saw a lot of you trashing her, saying she's terrible, all that stuff, which is stupid. Oh, because she lost her last fight, which I picked correctly, to a world level wrestler. Yeah, no shit, that happens. So people saying that Kay Hansen's terrible makes no sense. But she is very good. She could absolutely win this fight. But I do think Pereira Rodriguez takes it because I think her takedown defense and just how like violent she is on her feet really makes something happen. So let's see what you guys think. Hips don't lie. I told you guys. You guys didn't love the Jasmine Jasudavicius pick, and then guess who was right? Me. It was me. Yeah. Okay. Rodriguez's butt on the ground, though. Has she been submitted? No. So, okay, she gets taken down, doesn't immediately stand back up. That doesn't mean she's going to get submitted. If she can do real damage on the feet, make Kay Hansen pay on the feet, all of a sudden when she's on the ground, maybe she'll lose a minute or two, but doesn't mean she lost the round and the fight isn't stopped. That was a close fight. I don't think she got robbed at all, and she definitely lost her last fight. I believe Kay Hansen is Jacob's lock of the week, and maybe he'll come on now that his power just is magically restored 10 minutes after I do this. Oh, look who it is. Oh, the Magic Man with the power. Unbelievable. What a joke.
Look at that. Look at that. Back in action. Lock of the week, baby.
Let me change the audio here. Fucking
no problem.
Absolute clown show. Well, I can only do this for another 45 minutes. So we're burning through these.
Let's run through it, baby.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you're excited to get through it. Fucking joke. And you know what's even more annoying about you not paying your electric bill? I went to Costco today because you wanted ribs. So I went to Costco today.
And just hold on. Not really feeling the ribs anymore. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really feeling
the ribs. Because I bought them. I bought a lot of them. I trimmed them up. They're seasoned. They're on the smoker right now. If you show up after this bullshit and then eat one rib and go, that was tasty, and that's it. I'm gonna.
You know, it sounds really good. Do you want me to pick you up McDonald's? I might get McDonald's on the way. Do you want some McDonald's?
I'll
be serious too.
You eat one rib, I'm going to punch you in the stomach. You're going to throw it up, and you're going to eat another one until
I'm going to walk out of there with my pockets full of fucking ribs.
Anyway.
There's so many ribs.
We've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Josh Freeme. The best part about Anthony Hernandez, Jacob sent it to me, the official pick'em graphic that the UFC does with just the heads of every single fighter in the fight order. They used Alexander Hernandez and not Anthony Hernandez's picture, which is fantastic.
They just reposted it and fixed it, but I was like, "What the hell is this? How do you make that mistake?"
Did they did they acknowledge it? I saw every single.
Hopefully somebody lost their job and is going to lose their house. That's how I see it.
Oh, Jester has carnitas. Jester, I got 3 racks of ribs going, and I'm doing a Costco sells tri-tips, prime tri-tips. 2 of them in a package, so I have 2 giant tri-tips.
You know what's really good is Danishes at Sam's Club. They have these Danishes, with these
nobody's
fruit filling
in on
in
your
it.
stupid Sam Club joke, so it doesn't. It's only for me, that joke.
I know, but that's all that matters.
Okay.
As long as I can make you happy, Angelo, that's all that matters.
You could have made me happy 15 minutes ago if you had power. It's not your fault, so I'm trying not to be mad at you. I'm trying. I didn't say I'm succeeding.
I was sending you videos because I'm like, I know in the back of his mind he's thinking that I'm just bullshitting. So I'm like, I literally said but the chat doesn't know. I literally sent a video of my circuit breaker. I'm like, said today's date with the time, flipping switches to make sure you knew I wasn't playing games.
Well, anyway, we've got Anthony Hernandez taking on Josh Freeme. Josh Freeme,
2 units
UFC
on
debut.
Danishes. That's
What?
funny. Sorry. Someone said 2 units on Danishes.
Anthony Hernandez, he's a grappler. He's famous for having solid cardio. He comes forward, busy, aggressive. He's got really good cardio. He doesn't break, and he ended up breaking Rodolfo Vieira and ended up submitting him in that fight where he was an insane underdog. Josh Freeme is a UFC debut. Somebody, this is how ridiculous. So we're growing. We'll hit 5,000 subscribers today. And I did my breakdown. I'll do it, and then I'll tell you what. Yeah, the bigger we get, the more idiots there are out there, I guess. Anyway, Josh Freeme, I said he's a grappler. He's very athletic. He's got sneaky power in his punches. He had success in the LFA, and his only losses there were to Gregory Rodriguez, who's in the UFC. And he got his contract fighting on Dana White looking for a fight show. And, he's had success. I said he's a grappler. And he had a little bit trouble with the striking in that last fight and resorted to grappler. And I said this is sort of a grappler versus grappler matchup. And somebody commented, Josh Freeme's, I followed he's not a grappler, blah, blah, blah. He wrestled in college, though. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I saw that. That was because it was like 3 separate comments about how you're an idiot, Angelo, you're an idiot. And then he was like, he did wrestle in college. It's like, okay, well.
So, yeah, I was like, so the college wrestler who uses his wrestling and jiu-jitsu in every single one of his fights is not a grappler. Like, people just want, this is what I love. So, first of all, I do love the vast majority of you. The vast majority of you are giving more than you receive, or at least an equal amount.
We like everyone except for Jester. We don't like Jester.
I don't know. Jester has carnitas going, so I'm good with that.
And
he
we don't really like Jester.
It's not a Bodetti sandwich. It's the Angelo sandwich. Anyway, there's always the people who love to just push buttons and say stupid crap. And then when I push back, they disappear. Or there's somebody that will just double down. I was going back and forth with somebody, and he was actually very respectful. He wasn't being an absolute troll. He was being very respectful. But I promise you, that guy spent 3 hours arguing with me over Mackenzie Dern's accent. 3. I live in Brazil. I do this. I'm a teacher. Paragraph, well thought out paragraphs, which I obviously don't read. You guys think I'm going to read like a 3-paragraph? It's not happening. It's not happening. And then I would just be like, watch this video. It's clear. And then 4 more paragraphs. And I was like, man, you spent entirely too much time caring about a stranger's fake accent. But he was at least respectful. Anyway, I'm so torn on this fight. I'm very tiny, slight lean for Anthony Hernandez because he has UFC experience. And, he's not short notice. Josh Freeme is short notice. But Josh Freeme is so athletic. And athleticism matters. Anthony Hernandez is not athletic at all.
He's huge too. I don't know if you saw the face and somebody mentioned in the chat. He's a monster. I watched the face and I was like, oh, let me switch my pick here real quick.
Yeah, I might honestly switch my pick. I mean, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's a little late now, but maybe when the fights are going, I might throw a buck or 2 on him because he's stupid athletic. He's very good. And Anthony Hernandez is like sort of the UFC uses him as like a gatekeeper or a name builder. And, but he's been in the UFC for a while. He's fought at this level of experience, and Josh Freeme's taking it on short notice, and it's his UFC debut. So there's a lot going there for him, and that is the literally a piece of paper thickness difference between those 2 picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I said it in my breakdown. If this wasn't short notice for Josh, I would be all over Josh. And when Anthony Hernandez, when you have a big win like that, you go one of 2 ways. Either you get full of yourself and you think, oh, I can beat anyone. I just beat Rodolfo. I just did this. Or you get confidence but not cocky, right? You get confident but not cocky. If you watch him this week, he almost looks like he's got a little cocky, Anthony Hernandez. I think he gets a little bit cocky. He's still my pick because of the short notice, but I agree. This is a close fight.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. You know, these are the type of fights. There's no reason to spend money. Just watch and enjoy. Then we've got Alexei
And
Olynyk.
this is another one where I would not spend money on this fight.
I did spend money
Speaking
on
of this one real quick, at the weigh-ins and stuff, at the ceremonial weigh-ins, the way Jared was walking, it looked like he has a broken back. I don't know if that's how he always walks, but he was like, like stiff as a board, like walking. I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? So when a fight got canceled, I honestly thought it was this fight that got canceled because I'm like, oh yeah, Jared like has some sort of injury or something. So he did not look great to me at the ceremonial weigh-ins.
TJ Brewer with the $2 donation. TJ Brewer says, good luck, everybody. Super excited for this card. TJ, I am also super excited for this card, and thank you very, very much for the super chat. It takes a little bit of the sting off of me doing this right now. So, Alexei Olynyk, he's old, but he's an unbelievable grappler. The problem is he doesn't have the greatest takedowns, right? His takedowns are a bit brutal. They're a bit draggy, but once he's on the ground, he's in complete control of every situation and can make things happen. Even in that loss against Spivak, he ended up in mount. He ended up doing a lot of things and doing them well, even if he didn't initiate the takedowns. Jared VanDeraa, this whole broken back thing is not great, but Jared VanDeraa, he's very good at jiu-jitsu. I've seen that he's a blue belt and a black belt, so I don't know which one it is. But he is good at jiu-jitsu. He is a big guy. He does have wrestling.
Wouldn't that be purple?
What?
If you mix them both, I think if you take colors black and blue and mix them, I think it makes like a purple. So he might be a purple belt.
He's a purple belt. He built his career before the UFC on his grappling. In the UFC, he was steamrolled by two very good grapplers, but dominated Justin Taffa with his striking. And honestly, a lot of people thought he beat Andrei Arlovski. That was a split decision. He outstruck him, and super, nice volume, nice footwork. His hands look good, and Jared VanDeraa has turned into a very solid striker. So I picked Jared VanDeraa. I'm sticking with that pick. I like Jared VanDeraa to win this fight. I think Alexei Olynyk has one single path to victory, and that's on the ground. And I don't know how it gets to the ground because I don't see him taking Jared VanDeraa down. He doesn't really have very good takedowns. And I thought you agreed with me. Now you're changing your mind?
No, you're on Jared VanDeera's side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. When I saw him at the ceremonial weigh-ins, it just worried me a little bit. The guy looked like Shrek walking across the stage, and he seems like a guy that, if something starts going wrong, he might try and shoot a takedown for whatever reason on Alexei Olynyk, and that could cause issues. I like Jared, and I almost put him. I actually had him in my DraftKings lineup because I thought that he was going to be a knockout risk for Olynyk, and I was going to try and chase that knockout. After the ceremonial weigh-ins and the quotes that he had this week, he feels like he's fighting for his UFC job. Again, mentally, that can go one of two ways. That can motivate you, or it can put way too much pressure on you. And he kind of seems like a guy where it's almost like like I'm fighting for my life, like he's getting worried about it. So I don't really like that edge. I still think he should win the fight, but I'm staying away from this completely. If I had to pick, he's going to be my pick, but I'm not doing anything with this fight. If you're going to throw something, it's probably on Olynyk by sub is probably like the safest play just to see what happens, but I would stay away from this fight completely.
Well, I already bet on Jared VanDeraa, so and yeah, so I'm going to stick with that. I still like Jared VanDeraa to win. And somebody commented, where is it? Sorry, I'm like fielding texts and talking, doing this. A lot of stuff going on right now. Could be a stalemate fight. If this is a stalemate and they're just staring at each other, Jared VanDeraa wins. He's got more volume. He'll come forward. The judges will like it.
And these odds are moving towards the Jared side. He's a -130 on some books now. So
yeah, good.
Then
we have
speaking
another...
of moving odds.
What?
Well, I said speaking of moving odds, this one.
Then we have another really close fight that a ton of people are split on. This was probably the most controversial fight this week. Jordan Bergard. Thank you very much.
That's Big Don, baby. Can of paint. Vivant picks. He's at work right now.
Picks. Why? Well, I don't understand hashtag can of paint. Am I too old?
It's an inside joke with me and him. So
okay.
You don't have to
well, that's fun for everybody.
I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it.
Thank you very much, Jordan. Jacob gets a full 20% of that. So thank you very
That means I'll have the lights on for the next week.
Yeah. So this was probably the most talked about, the most commented on, not the most viewed, but definitely the most commented and talked about fight this week. And everybody seems to be split down the middle between Vince Pachelle and Mark Madsen. Vince Pachelle, he's a striker. He's got a lot of movement. He's got decent offensive wrestling too, because a lot of people think he's a wrestler because his offensive wrestling looks so good, but his defensive wrestling is just so horrific. It makes no sense. I don't know how you can have the mechanics down of taking up, have all of the tools to take somebody else down, understand those mechanics, and be so piss poor at defending takedowns. That's like, honestly, I've wrestled my whole life. That shocks me. That's very surprising.
I agree. I mean, I see the same thing.
There you go. He's a good offensive wrestler. He's a very good striker, lots of movement, but he gets taken down a ton. Mark Madsen, Olympic Greco-Roman wrestler. Greco is the upper body stuff. It trips. I'm going to say trips, but you're not really supposed to touch the legs. But trips, throws, things like that, all the upper body stuff. That's the Randy Couture style wrestling. Olympic wrestler.
Sorry to interrupt. Isn't that just like basically judo?
Kind of. There are differences between that and judo, but there are also a lot of similarities as well.
Got it. Thank you.
The differences are essentially on the mat. Because standing, it's hip tosses, stuff like that. But you can't touch legs. You can't touch below the hips. Anyway, he's an Olympic Greco wrestler, but we see him shoot doubles and traditional wrestling as well. Because when you grow up wrestling, you start with folk style, then you work your way to free or Greco. Anyway, he's a takedown machine when he's doing it. He is coming off the win over Clay Guida. He beat Clay Guida. He outstruck Clay Guida. He only attempted one single takedown, and Clay Guida is probably one of the most mobile strikers in the division. He's got no power, but he's very mobile, and Mark Madsen seemed to deal with it, had cardio. I like Mark Madsen to win literally because he's a phenomenal wrestler, and Vince Pachelle gets out-wrestled. It's that cut and dry for me. But one thing that did worry me, I don't know if you sent it to me or I saw it on my own, Vince Pachelle basically tweeted, Mark Madsen's going to shoot a million takedowns. I'll defend them. He'll get exhausted, and then I'm going to punch a hole through his face. So it's like he's fully aware. Like, he knows what it's going to be. Bub Collins with the super chat. Thank you very much. Bub Collins said, appreciate your guys' humor. Never die. I don't plan on dying. I don't plan on dying. So thank you very much.
That's a little ominous, right? Is that a threat? Never die.
What's funny
great
about
humor, guys, and don't forget, don't die tonight. Like, what?
What's funny is you said you appreciate the humor. Somebody commented the other day, I love the content, guys. Thank you very much. Angelo, I don't like how rude you are to Jacob.
And that's that's like the 25th comment.
I don't give a don't tell me how to talk to my friends. Kick rocks, dude. You're not going to tell me how to talk to my friends. I really enjoy the tens of hours of content every single week and the tens of hours of research for these fights. If you could just say please and thank you and be a little nice, get the fuck out of here. No way. I'd rather do it by myself than kiss Jacob's ass. Jacob, what do you think about this fight?
I actually kind of agree with the truth. Paul Pierce said Pachelle third round finish plus 1,600. That's interesting for a flyer. I'm Mark Madsen. Obviously, because he should be able to out-wrestle Vince. And if your whole basis is, Mark's going to get tired and that's why he's going to lose, that means you're saying that basically like Mark is going to dominate the fight so much, right, that he is going to tire himself out and might end up losing that way. I don't want to pick I don't want to pick a fight based on the fact that I think the better guy might get tired and therefore lose. So I got to go Mark Madsen all the way. It worries me a little bit that a lot of people on the Mark Madsen side, I think I was watching the pre-weigh-in show, and I think they were surprised that he was an underdog in this fight. I think a lot of people were. He is my lock of the week. One of my lock of the weeks. I have three of them: Kay Hansen, Mark Madsen, and then Mickey Mouse. So I'm Mark Madsen all the way.
Good. So we're aligned. And Mbaye, welcome. You asked how he thought about Julio Arce on the scale. I thought he looked like absolute trash. I think missing weight by 5 pounds, from my experience, is way worse than missing weight by a few pounds. That means he was devastated.
It was like he was sitting there, they had the screen out, they read it, and he was just like, damn it, man.
It's like to miss by a half a pound means there was nothing left to give. Nothing. So some people recover pretty well from that, but I like Daniel Santos now. I thought that was a pretty close fight. I only liked Julio Arce to win because of the UFC experience. and because he had some wrestling in his back pocket. But I imagine after that weight cut and those struggles, that wrestling isn't easy. He's probably going to be afraid to use it because that's exhausting. And who knows what he's going to look like. And I like Santos to come in with the power, the aggression. My issue with Santos in that fight was he's old school with his jiu-jitsu. If he gets taken down, he's just going to lay on his back and try to work old school jiu-jitsu moves. And it's 2022, and that's just not going to work. So that was my that's the recap on that, Mbe.
Arce by head kick.
Okay. Then we have Mickey Gall taking on Mike Malott. When I broke this down 2 weeks ago, I opened it with the Battle of the Handsomes, and both these guys are pretty good-looking guys.
First of all, Mike Malott, this picture does not do him justice because at the ceremonial weigh-ins, you could see the ring girls too were like, holy shit, look at this guy. Ripped off the shirt, stood on the scale, flexed the jaws. I texted you, he could be the next Superman. I'm telling you right now, Mike Malott, he's got my vote for the next Superman. No offense to Mickey. I mean, Mickey's a good-looking dude, but he's got the head shaved now. He should have done that.
Well, he's taking his career seriously. So here's the breakdown on these guys. I mean, Mickey Gall at a plus 165 underdog against the UFC debut with the same amount of wins is incredibly disrespectful. Incredibly disrespectful. This isn't a UFC debut that's 20-0, and he's been like dominating the world coming in here. And Mike Malott is not like a guy that's amazing at one thing. He's the next generation of fighter. He's good at everything, which is dangerous, obviously, but it's not like he's one of these Dagestani wrestlers and it's just like, yep, he's going to go in there and do that one thing and do it really well.
Big Ray Sanders in the house.
But Mickey, wow, thank you,
Yes,
Ray
Big Ray
Sanders. Ray Sanders with the $20 super chat.
That's my dude.
Thank you very much, Ray. That is incredibly appreciated. Thank you very, very much. You don't have a comment. I'd read it, but no comment. But thank you very much.
He said, come on, fellas, let's up the tips a bit. This channel is the absolute best in the game. 100% agree.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. And I'm moving. Somebody asked about a fight companion before. So I live just a little outside of Dallas, Texas now. I'm going to be moving, I don't know, 30 minutes southeast or something like that.
Eddie said they're just going to gamble it away. I might. Angelo won't. I might.
I won't. I'm moving. I need every penny. But anyway, you asked about a fight companion. Right now in this house, I have a media room upstairs. Jacob and I did some fight companions from there, but it got tricky, and these stupid fight night cards are like at 6 o'clock, and I have kids. But the new place I'm moving into, my office is much larger, and it's a different configuration. So hopefully Jacob will make, right now it's only 10 minutes to get to my house. This will be like 25. Hopefully he'll make the drive because we can definitely do them from my office in a different setting, a little more comfortable. So don't be a bum. Anyway, Mickey Gall. He's a good grappler. He's got submissions.
It's the rudeness we're talking about there.
He's got submissions on top. He's got submissions off the bottom. He has some pretty technical striking, and he grew up in the UFC. The majority of his career has been in the UFC. So, yes, he has 4 losses, but those are good losses to good opponents. And he's got some solid wins. He beat CM Punk, which that's not a solid win, but he beat Sage Northcutt. And listen, at one point in time, Sage Northcutt was a big deal. Sage Northcutt and Mike Malott have a lot in common. Both young, good-looking guys that the UFC was hoping to push, super athletic, and a solid skill set. And actually, Sage probably had the better resume because wasn't he like a national champion karate kind of guy? And Mickey Gall, won that fight and has some solid wins in the UFC. A couple solid losses, but it's all UFC level. Mike Malott, he's well-rounded. He's got loose striking, so he boxes and kickboxes as well. His hands are low, which makes him a little bit hittable, but he's pretty technically sound, pretty well-rounded. I'm all over Mickey here. I have a money line bet on Mickey. And at the end of the day, the reason is because although Mike Malott's pretty good everywhere, he's not amazing anywhere. And Mickey Gall, every single one of his fights has been against an opponent of greater talent and more experience than Mike Malott. Every single one. And this is literally UFC level versus regional level right here. So I like Mickey to get it done, but I am nervous that there's something I'm not seeing because these odds are a bit crazy.
Yeah, I'm obviously Mickey's one of my lock of the weeks, 3 lock of the weeks this week. I feel good about Mickey. The face-offs, he looks confident. He's at Sanford MMA now, which I think is just going to increase his wrestling, and that's what he really needs, right? Because he's a very, very slick jiu-jitsu guy. His striking is okay, but if he can really bear down and focus on the wrestling, he has good enough striking to get to the wrestling, and then his jiu-jitsu, that's where he shines. So Mike Malott obviously is like the striking coach of Team Alpha Male. I think he's going to be trying to pull guillotines when Mickey is shooting. I think Mickey can get him to the ground, control him on the ground, and that's how he wins the fight, and that's why he's my lock of the week. But Mike Malott, I mean, I can't get over how good looking this guy is. It's incredible. I think even Joe Rogan was like, holy shit.
Well, Marshall Maya said Gall or Aspen for dog of the card. I'm on both of them. I like them both to win, but I would go with Mickey Gall only because of level of opponent, right? Mike Malott is nowhere near as good of a fighter as Raquel Pennington is. So I see
the opposite. I see it the opposite.
You think Mike Malott's a better fighter than Raquel Pennington, who has only lost? I
think he's more dangerous. I think he's definitely more dangerous. Raquel Pennington's not really dangerous. She's not going to finish anyone.
She's dangerous
but Mike Malott could put out Mickey Gall's lights. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're deciding between Mickey Gall or Aspen Ladd, I'm going Mickey Gall. But I do like them both. I like them both to win for sure. Speaking of, we've got Aspen Ladd taking on Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington stepping up on short notice. It was about a week and a half, 2 weeks, I think, that they made this fight. But she is Tecia Torres' live-in girlfriend. So Tecia Torres is on this card. I imagine they're training together, and I imagine Raquel Pennington's in great shape. So the short notice is not really a factor here, in my opinion. But Aspen Ladd looked terrible in her last fight. She was a step behind in the striking, playing catch-up, and just couldn't get anything done in that fight. But that was her first fight back after a 2-year layoff, after a really bad weight cut, after a million things went wrong for Aspen Ladd. Wasn't her fight canceled the week before? Like, a lot of things went wrong for Aspen Ladd leading up to that fight. She has gotten that behind her, and now she's taking on Raquel Pennington. She's got a full camp. She looked amazing on the scale, like Jacob said, and that's been her biggest challenge. So I like Aspen Ladd to win this fight. She's fighting Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington is a legitimate, tried-and-true veteran, has only lost to former or current world champions. She has never lost in the UFC, at least, to just a regular contender. This would be the first contender she's lost to. So she's not the most powerful. She's not the fastest. She's not the strongest. But what she does do really well is close the distance, put you against the cage, and just take minutes. She works minutes, earns minutes, steals minutes, and that's how she wins fights. She does is coming off a stoppage, but that was her first stoppage since 2015. And Falah Abbas Mahdi with the €5 super chat. Thank you very much, Falah. It's incredibly appreciated. Your quote is Mao. So I don't know what that means, but thank you very much.
It looks like that translates to meow from Dutch.
Like
Dutch to English translated to meow. So right back at you.
I like Aspen to win this fight only because I don't think she accepts being pushed against the cage, right? Raquel Pennington's going to need to push her against the cage, steal a few minutes, and I don't think Aspen Ladd accepts that. Aspen's a freaking scrappy dog, and she could work in her own wrestling. So I do like Aspen to win here, but I trust Mickey to get it done more than Aspen. What do you think?
Aspen's the better fighter. I don't care what you say. Aspen is the more well-rounded fighter in this matchup. They're both very, very tough, but Aspen, when she is tough, usually is tougher than just about everyone she faces, was completely embarrassed her last fight. Somebody mentioned in the chat, her coaches were yelling at her, what the hell are you doing? You got to do something. She just seemed out of it completely. I think she shows up, puts on a show, and comes back to being the Aspen Ladd that we know and that the UFC hope that she should be. If she doesn't win this fight, I mean, this is kind of a tailor-made fight for her, even though she is the underdog. I understand why she's the underdog, but she's the better fighter in this matchup. She looked right on the scale. That's what I was worried about. She looks happy. I think I honestly think that she can dominate this fight.
Yeah, and I think so. She didn't look like a scrappy dog in her last fight. So you have to.
She was embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
She looked terrible in her last fight, but you have to opponents matter and styles matter. Her last opponent was touching and going, a super fast, clean striker, just moving around and just landing, and she was a step behind. That is not how Raquel Pennington fights. Raquel Pennington is borderline slow. Like, she's not very fast.
She just wants to grab you and hold you. That's what Raquel wants to just makes it dirty, put you against the fence, and just hold you there.
She's not fast enough to just jab and move. She's not strong enough to bully somebody like an Aspen, because Aspen's also very big. And, she's got all the veteran savvy in the world, and that does make up for a lot of things. And she has incredible success, and she's, top 5 in the world or whatever it is, and will be for an incredibly long time. But I just think this matchup, I think Aspen Ladd can get this done. So I like Aspen here. I got to check to see if I ended up putting her in my DraftKings. I may have, but I didn't bet on her.
That's aggressive.
And he said there's a wrestling technical. Some of her, the problem is you have to go back 2 years, because in her last fight it was not. But, she had multiple injuries. But before that, it wasn't the most technical wrestling, but she committed to those shots. She would get something and stick with it. She wouldn't bail on it. She wasn't insecure about it. Even if it wasn't the best entry, she would run through it. She would pull it. She would lift it, and she stuck with it. And that's one of the most important things. That's why I always say it is easier to finish a takedown than to defend one. Even if you shoot a bad takedown, if you get to those legs and you work, you'll finish that takedown. If somebody shoots on you, it's a lot of work to defend a takedown. This fight has been canceled, unfortunately.
Thank God.
And then you didn't trust your pick there. And then we've got Ian Gary taking on Darian Weeks. I am a complete flip-flopper on this fight. I'm flip-flopping all over the place who I think wins this fight. We've got Ian Gary at 8-0. He's pretty young in his career. Here, break this down. My wife's calling me 3 times in a row now. Break this down.
Yeah, no problem. I have a 3.5 bet on Darian Weeks. First of all, let me talk about Ian Gary, because this dude is like a complete clown show. He got, I don't want to say dominated his first fight. He ended up getting a knockout win, but he did not look good until that last punch with 10 seconds to go in his last fight, which was his UFC debut. So he's technically 1-0 in the UFC. Didn't look great in that fight. And he's talking about nobody can talk better. The only people that can talk better than me is Connor and Chael Sonnen. I'm the best talker. Buddy, you better just put up on a performance that you're proud of. Because if you were proud of that last performance, then I don't know what to tell you. Because that was borderline pathetic against a fighter that's, Jordan Williams is a decent fighter, but he's not some like world beater. And he was just tagging Ian Gary up time and time again. And now you're trying to say that you're the next Conor McGregor. You better put together a performance against a guy in Darian Weeks that you're going to be faster than, you're going to be more powerful than. And if you can withstand the wrestling, you should dominate. But if you look bad again in this matchup and you get taken down that first round, you start getting tired and you can't get this guy out of here, Ian Gary should finish Darian Weeks. But he's going to have a tough time doing it, and Darian Weeks might end up winning this fight. Ian Gary, I don't like the guy. I hope he gets finished. We'll see what happens. He has all the tools in the world, but he is really full of himself. But his girlfriend is hot as shit, man. I don't know if he's still with her. I didn't see her this week at all, so hopefully they split up. I'll hit her up and see, but I mean, she was just incredible. Actually, he did have an engagement ring on, I think, or wedding ring on at the ceremonial weigh-in. So hopefully it's a different girl.
Marshall said maybe he's the next Paddy Pimblett. I don't think so, because Paddy's actually a grappler. So Paddy's like, the fact that he gets hit constantly while striking, like, he's not a striker. He's a grappler that chooses to strike. Ian Gary is a striker that was getting outstruck and had to resort to wrestling as a backup. So it was his UFC debut. There was a lot of pressure there. I do think he's probably the better pure striker than Darian Weeks. I originally picked Ian Gary, but I said the odds were crazy. These are crazy odds for a guy that looked the way he looked in his last fight. And Darian Weeks, listen, he had 4 takedowns against Brian Barberena. He landed 112 strikes or something like that. It wasn't a bad UFC debut at all. And if he mixes in the same wrestling and he starts to, throw big, heavy bombs at Ian Gary, and Ian Gary is as hittable as he was in his last fight, this could be the biggest upset on the card. I don't see any of the big 3, losing. This could be the biggest upset on the entire card. I think Darian Weeks is super live. I continue to go back and forth on if I think he wins. I will be rooting for Darian Weeks, though. I'll be rooting for him. I think he's got a lot of tools here, and I would be happy for him if he got this done.
Yeah, Ian Gary needs to just like chill and win a few fights and then start, because Jesus, man, relax. Nobody can talk better than me except for Connor and Chael. It's about fighting, man. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, it's especially because he didn't look great last time. At least Patty, Patty.
The dude didn't look great. End up getting a knockout. He's like, did the Connor line. We're not here to take part. We're here to take over. It's like, relax, man.
Well, and like the comparison to Patty's like fun, smiling, likable. Ian Gary like is mean mugging. Then we've got my favorite fight to break down because we have Mackenzie Dern, who coming into the UFC, I was a giant fan of Mackenzie Dern. I was looking forward to her taking over. I absolutely loved that there was somebody that young at that level as far as jiu-jitsu was concerned coming into the UFC. And then the fake accent, the translator. She needed a translator. She grew up in Arizona and needs a translator in the cage. It's absolutely absurd. And those things just, at the end of the day, I can't stand fake. Doing this channel, I don't use a fake voice. You don't use a fake voice. Like, we just are who we are. Some people absolutely hate my guts because I'm like snarky. But at least I'm a normal person. Mackenzie Dern is like completely fabricated. It's all fabric. It's insane. And even Joe Rogan, look it up. He has a full conversation about Mackenzie Dern's accent and the need for a translator and how he's like, it made no sense. He's like, it's really weird. I don't know what's going on with that. She speaks perfect English. So that's enough of that. Skill-wise, she's stupid tough, has phenomenal jiu-jitsu, piss poor takedown defense, and improving striking. I'm not going to say her striking is awful, but it's not awful, but it's not very good either, right? It is improving. She's putting in the time. She's making things happen. Great on the ground. The biggest issue is she can't get it to the ground on her own. But to give her credit, she's very tough. It is hard to break her. She's really, really tough. Tecia Torres, she's pretty good everywhere. She's got takedowns. She's got takedown defense. She has ridiculous cardio. She's insanely busy. She's got very good hands and sets an incredible pace. She's probably a little undersized for the division. She's jacked, but she's a little on the smaller side. I like Tecia Torres here. I think this fight looks a lot like what we talked about Aspen Ladd a few minutes ago. I think this fight, Tecia Torres beats Mackenzie Dern the way that Norma Dumont beat Aspen Ladd. She's just a step ahead of her the entire time, touching her up, and just Mackenzie just can't get there. Can't get the takedown. Her jab is too slow and just isn't there, but she's so tough. It likely goes to a decision, and it's going to be a very wide strike line between the two of them with Tecia Torres just absolutely dominating. I had 2 units on her to win, and it's all about cardio and pace. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the Tecia side as well. They actually had some good back and forths at the press conference. They asked Tecia, where would you put Mackenzie on your list of opponents? And she flat out said, I think she's like right in the middle somewhere. I don't think she's that tough. She's not, the worst, but she's not that great. Tecia seems like she has no issues with Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie, actually, they asked her, like, if you win this fight, do you think you're ready for a title shot? She said, no. She said, no, I don't think I'm ready for the title fight yet. Maybe if I have, the 1 or 2 more of the wins. But yeah, she actually said, she said that she's not ready for a title shot, which I guess is kind of a humbling thing in its own right. Tecia obviously said, if I win, I want a title shot. And then the funny part too was Tecia was talking, and Mackenzie goes, what happens if I take you down? And Ticia's like, what? Like, what happens if I take you down? She said, what? What happens if I take you down? Then what happens? And Tecia said, I'll get back up. Like, if you take me down, I'll get back up. But if Mackenzie can get the takedowns, obviously I think that if she gets 1 takedown, I think that this fight's over pretty quickly. That's how dominant she is. She's the Francis Ngannou of the ground game. But I'm Tecia all the way. I don't think this fight finds its way to the ground, and her volume just overwhelms Mackenzie. She gets hit a lot. She's going to be bloodied, nose broken inside of 30 seconds of this fight. It's not going to look great. I think Tecia wins.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty aligned there. I will say, for Mackenzie Dern to accomplish what she has accomplished in jiu-jitsu means she's an incredible athlete. Like, she's a dedicated athlete, an incredible athlete. She knows how to train. She knows how to win. And that sounds stupid, but knowing how to win is incredibly important. You have no idea, like, the years I've spent competing in wrestling and all of that, There were so many people in the room that had like national champion talent. They would beat anybody in the room. And we would have national champions, state champions, New England champions, like in the room training with us postseason. And you know, I'm not going to do a specific name, but this kid would like beat on them, take them down, do what he wants to do, and then go out there and try to actually perform and couldn't do it because he literally didn't know how to win. Mackenzie Dern knows how to win, knows how to train, knows how to be the best in the world at something. And if she's focused on the wrestling and everything she's done to be as good as she is at jiu-jitsu, and she adds that wrestling component, she's incredibly dangerous. But I don't think she's going to add the wrestling in 3 or 4 months. So that's why I think he loses.
Are you intoxicated?
Then we got Gilbert Burns versus Chimaev. This is one of the most highly anticipated fights on the card because everybody just wants to know how good actually is Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat, not Hazmat. Khamzat Chimaev. Jesus Christ. Khamzat Chimaev. How good actually is he? So what's interesting about this is, you know, Gilbert Burns is ranked what? 3rd, 4th, something like that?
He's a second. I think he's second contender behind Colby.
So that means he's ranked 3rd or 2nd the way the
No, it
UFC
means he's
does it?
second. I just said
they
second.
They don't rank
First
the
contender.
champion.
It's champion, first contender,
Okay,
second.
got it.
I think
I
he's
think
second.
Chimaev blows through Gilbert Burns. I don't think. And what's funny about that, the reason I brought up his ranking is I think there are people lower ranked than Gilbert Burns that would give Chimaev a much harder time. I think it's just
name 8 of them.
Styles make fights, and Gilbert Burns, he has some power in his hands, but he's very undersized. He's 155 pounds. He has offensive, wrestling kind of, right? He's a jiu-jitsu guy that learned some takedowns. He's not going to take down Chimaev. He's too short, too stubby to be throwing up triangles and arm bars. He doesn't scramble well. He does really well when he comes forward with the clubs, can take you down and work for a submission or work to grapple from there like he did against Wonderboy. This matchup's not going to work for him. I actually think Jorge Masvidal would be a much harder matchup for Chimaev than Gilbert Burns, even though he gets taken down.
Yeah, what the hell? Like, you just saw Colby just ragdoll that dude for 25 minutes. What are you talking about?
But he's also not afraid to let his hands go.
I know, but that honestly might be the dumbest thing you've ever said.
Okay. Anyway, I think Chimaev blows through Gilbert Burns. I know a lot of people are high on Gilbert, and Gilbert, all the credit in the world to him. This is a big risk to take. I think he gets blown through. So maybe I'm buying into the hype, but I think Chimaev just blows right through him. What do you think?
I disagree slightly. I think there's definitely a possibility where if he gets in an advantageous position, he just starts raining down elbows and strikes. But if Gilbert Burns is able to get his guard, Gilbert Burns can survive. Can he win? I don't think he can win. Somebody asked me in the chat earlier. I gave his chances of winning about like 5 to 10%. But if he survives the first round, maybe bump that up to like 25%. I hope that we see a little bit of adversity from Chimaev to see what he can do if he is in a precarious position. I got a lot of big words today. If he is in a precarious position, I can't even say it. Precarious position.
No, precarious.
If he's in a precarious position, but yeah, I think this obviously it's Chimaev all the way. If this starts getting late second into the third, I mean, I don't know if he's going to panic, if Burns is going to feel confident. We'll see what happens. I think Burns can survive the first, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it should be Chimaev all the way.
All right then, Chimaev, it is, and I think we're pretty aligned on that. Somebody asked, do you think he could submit Burns? I do. It doesn't matter how high level of a jiu-jitsu guy you are. A scramble's a scramble. Chimaev's super long, dominant wrestling. He could snatch something up. Will he? I don't know, but he certainly can snatch something
up. Didn't he almost get armbarred in one of his fights? I'm trying to. I think it was like one of those like John Jones moments. No, Chimaev. I thought that there was one fight where it's like kind of that John Jones where he's like, oh shit, and then end up just TKOing him. Maybe I'm misremembering, but
I think you're misremembering. Then we've got the rematch, Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan. I've said this many times over. If you remember Petr Yan just absolutely murdering Aljamain Sterling in the first fight, you're misremembering.
You're an idiot, and get out of here.
You're misremembering. It wasn't necessarily a close fight. Petr was taking over. Petr's strikes had a little more sting on them, but Aljamain Sterling outstruck. Literally landed more strikes than Petr Yan. One judge gave Aljamain Sterling the first round. Every single judge gave him the second round. The third round was Piotr's, and the fourth round was the stoppage. If that went to the judges' scorecard, so they ruled it an illegal strike. If they said it was accidental and it went to the judges' scorecard, I mean, could have been dicey because Aljamain Sterling only needed one more judge on that in the first round, and that's his. So my point being, I don't think he won that fight. I don't think he was going to win that fight, but it was a lot closer than people remember. Aljamain essentially gassed. Was his biggest issue. He gassed. He was 1 for 14 on takedowns because he didn't have the energy to finish the takedowns. Petr Yan was 7 for 7, landed fewer strikes, but the strikes he landed just seemed to have a little more sting on them than Aljamain's did. I think Petr Yan wins this fight. I think it's more of the same, but Aljamain Sterling, if he makes some adjustments to his cardio, because if Aljamain Sterling has the same conditioning that Petr Yan has, I think he can win the fight. He just has to wrestle, grapple, busy with his hands, wrestle, grapple. He just doesn't have the cardio to keep that pace to do it for 5 rounds. That's my issue there. But I do think Aljamain Sterling is the most live of the big 3 fights here. If I don't see Volkanovski losing, I definitely don't see Chimaev losing. I can see Petr Yan losing.
Aljo is going to pick this little twerp up over his head and slam him down round after round after round. And everyone in this chat right now, in a few hours from now, better apologize to me when Aljamain Sterling beats this dude, because the last fight he did gas. But he talked about his bad weight cut. I know that everyone's going to be like, oh, excuse me. Bad weight cut. The whole day leading up to that fight, he had, I think it was 2 pancakes and 2 eggs in the morning, did not eat the rest of the day because he just felt like crap, had no energy. And if you watch that fight, even in the 3rd and 4th round, I know there was like those weird trip takedowns. Those takedowns by Yan was Aljamain trying to get him to the ground so he could like take a breather. But Aljo was still moving forward in the 3rd, the 4th round. He was getting tagged up a little bit, but he was still moving forward. There was a point in the 4th round where Peter sat into a 1-2, boom, boom, right across the chin on Aljo. Dude just ate it. If you are like that tired and that exhausted, and DC mentioned it during the fight, that usually drops people. That tells you that his cardio was good. He was just like tired, right? So he was still going, but he was just physically tired, and that's why he couldn't get those takedowns. This dude is going to out-grapple and out-wrestle Petr Yan from bell to bell and might end up getting a finish. Aljamain Sterling is going to win this fight.
You and I are on opposite sides of the pick. If Aljamain Sterling has cardio, I agree he can have some success. I don't think he'll have cardio.
That's what's funny. He's known as the pace guy. He is like the Colby Covington of this division, where he just goes and goes and he just doesn't stop. That's why it was so surprising to see him kind of gas out in that fight. But normally it's just boom, 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 and you guys are going to see that tonight.
I know, but even on Instagram, he posted like a few days before the weigh-ins, like pulling at his skin, like there's no fat left. He's like, I don't know where I'm going to get 12 more pounds from. It's almost like he's even bigger. He's put on even more weight, and that's just. It's going to make things a little trickier for him. We'll see. I think part of the problem here...
Every single person in here needs 10,000 word apology tonight. You have an hour after the fight ends to apologize, or you guys are fucking banned.
People still owe me money from bets. You're not getting an apology, that's for sure. The Aljamain... part of the problem here is he's just so unlikable. The theatrics with the knee was just so absurd. All the bullshit after the last year, he's just made himself so unlikable.
You have to go. You have to lay into it though. If you're him, you can't. I mean, I feel like he went the right route to sell himself.
I think he went the right route to sell himself after 8 months of realizing nobody's gonna like me. I just gotta lean in. But the theatrics in the cage was because he knew he was gonna lose that fight. And he just wanted to take what he can get. The immediate aftermath for a few months.
But I mean, if you're
that
fighter,
I don't fault him for it. It's
right. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people who are like, there's a lot of people that are like, I can't believe you did that. That's what you do. That he set himself up for life by doing that. If you didn't do that, like Anthony Smith was an idiot for not taking that fight versus John Jones when John Jones threw that illegal knee, because he would have got an immediate title shot. He would have got the pay-per-view points, the money, the spot, everything. Aljamain Sterling did exactly what you should do. Take the fight. You know you're going to get a rematch. Now prove it. Now he has a chance to prove it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I just, my whole point there was because of how unlikable he was in a lot of those situations, people are remembering him as getting the crap kicked out of him.
Right.
And Wendy Salines, $1.99, $2. Bet Arce fight does go the distance. Hansen, Torres, Pennington, Sterling. Well, good luck with that. Thank you very much for the super chat. It is very, very appreciated. We appreciate all of you. There's a lot of you in here. Jacob, I have to leave in a few minutes. We'll break down the last fight. You want me to leave this open for you, or you got to go too?
Nah, we'll just cut it off.
Oh, yeah.
Short and sweet.
Yeah, nobody works harder. I know who works harder. Me. We've got Alexander Volkanovski taking on the Korean Zombie in the main event. And if you remember, this was a short notice fight. The only reason Korean Zombie got a title shot is because Max Holloway dropped. So Korean Zombie stepped up on short notice. But then this fight got postponed. So Korean Zombie ended up in a legitimate title shot now with an actual camp. And it wasn't just a short notice fill-in. Does he deserve it? Probably not, right? He's coming off only one single win. With that being said, it was a very nice win over Dan Ige, who's, was ranked. And I'm just so sick of watching Volkanovski fight Max Holloway. I don't need to see that fight again. I just don't. But Alexander Volkanovski is pretty good at everything. He's got incredible cardio. He sets an incredible pace. He's the Energizer Bunny with strikes, and then he works in grappling whenever he wants to. He doesn't have any finishing power. He doesn't really have any submissions, but he's busy. He's active. He absolutely has 5 rounds worth of cardio, 5 rounds worth of busy strikes, 5 rounds worth of takedowns. He's a little guy, and Korean Zombie actually made fun of him for how small he is. But even though he's little, he has no issues getting to your head or getting to your legs, whether he's grappling or striking. The Korean Zombie is a pretty well-rounded guy. He's got really slick jiu-jitsu on the ground. He has some solid takedowns when he uses them, and he has real power in his hands. He's not very fast. Chris Toronto re-upped his membership. Welcome back, Chrissy boy. He's got solid hands, and Jesse with the $10 donation. Jesse, thank you very, very much. Incredibly appreciated. You've literally been here since day one. So thank you very much. Week in and week out, everything you do here. And you're a moderator now. You've been promoted to moderator. Thank you very much. All of that being said, as well-rounded as Korean Zombie is, I don't think he has the chance here. Obviously, he's got a puncher's chance. I think Volkanovski is too busy, too fast, too solid of cardio, and I think he just works his way through Korean Zombie. I mean, Brian Ortega worked through Korean Zombie without needing jiu-jitsu, basically. And I think it's more of the same. Volkanovski gets it done pretty rock solid, and Jester's obviously trolling at this point because that's absurd. What do you think, Jakey boy, before we head out?
Yeah, Volkanovski it's all the way in this fight. I'm actually surprised he is the most wide for the odds because he's not really a finisher. Honestly, I'm looking at the featherweight rankings right now. If Max can't beat him, which I don't know if Max can beat him, just because Volkanovski is so well-rounded and he has that wrestling in his back pocket that he can go to when he's in trouble, when he's really rarely ever really in trouble. Obviously, against Ortega, that was a little bit different. But, look at these rankings. I think the best fight that he could have it's probably Arnold Allen. I mean, we saw Arnold Allen knock out Dan Hooker. That dude is so well-rounded and also has the speed as well. I think the next featherweight champion besides Volkanovski is going to be Arnold Allen. That's my prediction. Obviously, I think Volkanovski is going to win this fight. And I think Arnold Allen eventually is going to fight Bryce Mitchell, and that's going to be an incredible matchup.
Yeah, well, you're getting off topic, but I agree. We'll catch us on chat. We'll head out of here. Yes, you're doing something wrong, Elizabeth. I'm looking at it right now. The contest exists. There's 65 people in it, so you're definitely doing something wrong. I just don't
69.
know what. And then, where's this fool? SK, Zombie not fast? Are you joking? Yeah, I'm over here cracking jokes. No, Zombie's not very fast. You think Zombie's faster than Alex Volkanovski? You actually think that? Let me know if you think that Korean Zombie is faster than Alexander Volkanovski, because obviously he's not. And this is what people do. They pick a word here, pick a word there, and try to pretend that they're the genius. Unbelievable. Anyway, guys, I got to head out. The fights are starting in a few hours. I got ribs on the grill. I have 2 tri-tips. I got to get going. There's a whole bunch going on. My kids are waking up. My wife's on her way home. Our pets' heads are falling off. But don't forget to go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. I literally pay out.
Oh, my God.
What?
Well, we just got another donation. A little super chat.
Oh, I don't see it.
Oh, $4.99. $5 from Elizabeth. Elizabeth
Oh,
Hadley.
well, thank you
With
very
a little
much.
dancing, yeah, there you go.
The alert.
Oh, I like
didn't
how it
happen.
spells it out. Lemon character doing shoulder shimmy dance moves.
Oh, there it is. Thank you very much. That is genuinely appreciated. Hopefully you can get into that DraftKings, whatever the hell it is, the contest, because it's there. So thank you. It is appreciated. And I see.
Oh my God, we got another one.
Chris Toronto, thank you very much. We will enjoy the fights, and hopefully life's going to be a little wild for me the next month or two, maybe a little less. Hopefully Jacob and I will be able to do a fight companion shortly. The reason we don't do pay-per-view fight companions is because I have people that come over. So I basically have to tell everybody you can't come so Jacob and I can be on camera. So fight night, fight companions, we can do if they start at the right time, or at least pay-per-views if it's just me and Jacob. So hopefully soon in my new place we can get that going. Thank you guys all very, very much. You've been fantastic. Dude, this is the fool that spent 3 hours or a half a day arguing Mackenzie Dern's
He
accent.
showed up right when you were about to turn off the stream. He said, let me type this real quick, thinking you were just going to shut it down.
I just
Guess
don't
what,
get-
David?
I don't get how you could not see her accent is fake.
Well, that's what I said. So he's right about that. They brought in a translator for the crowd. That's what I told you.
She's had a translator for multiple fights.
No, they brought it in for the crowd. I told
Dude,
you that.
it's not just George Gurgel.
I'm with you, David.
She's
with
had
you,
a
David.
translator for multiple fights. Now, UFC 224. That's one of multiple fights she had a translator for. And second of all, translator, no translator, the accent is fake. She grew up in Arizona. There's footage of her 5 years ago speaking English like I am, and now all of a sudden she forgets it. Can't speak English. Get the hell out of here. My whole family is from another continent, from another country. English is not their first language, and I have never seen them forget a word in one or the other language, ever. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It is absolutely fake. It's that simple. Google it. There's a million videos. I'll see ya. We'll see you guys after the fights. Enjoy.